Hi everyone, I am back at the van, and this week I've got a quick unboxing and I'm going to show you an installation of a new DC to DC charger that I've got to keep my Jackery fully charged as I'm driving. So this has just been delivered and it's the BougeRV alternator charger, the DC600. This is something that I've wanted for a while. It complements my solar power pack and will be the in-vehicle charging for the Jackery. What this does is it takes the power from the battery in the alternator and effectively converts it so that you're getting maximum wattage into your power station. The Jackery is limited to 400, so all you need to do with this, which has app control, is dial that down to 50 volt output, and that should get you there and thereabouts to about 400 watts going into the Jackery. Right, so let's open it up and see what we've got inside the box. This is the first time I've opened it. So first thing is the instruction manual, so we'll have a quick look at that before we install anything. Obviously anything electrical, really important you read the safety and installation guidance. And here is the actual charger unit. So what have we got here? So it's the BougeRV DC600. On this end you've got a comms port, which is where you can do your firmware updates. You've got the output cable which goes into your power station, and then you've got an on-off button and then a start-stop button. Now I understand that just by pressing this, regardless of what setting you've got the app on in terms of voltage, this will only put out 30 volts. So in order to get the maximum wattage going into the Jackery, you actually need to start it from the app, and then you've got your two inputs, positive and negative, and a cooling fan to keep everything nice and cool. And you've got some mounting points which should make things really easy in terms of installing it on the van, and then some safety labels. It's not a huge unit, but in comparison to the Jackery it's pretty small. I'm thinking of installing it underneath the bed unit here, probably inverted. I did check to see if this could be mounted upside down, and that's totally fine as long as there's lots of air ventilation. Let's just pop that there for now. Let's see what else we've got in the box. It should come with all of the cables. I'll get those out one-handed. Here we go. So left inside the box is just the mounting hardware. So what you've got here is just some self-tapping screws. You've got an Allen key, and then you've got the screws, which these will go into where the input ports are here, and that just secures down. And then inside here you've got your long 5-meter cable which goes directly onto your battery and runs all the way to the unit. And then you've also got an output cable with some MC4 connectors which will go onto the connector for the input on the Jackery. So this was, I think, about £150 delivered. There was an offer code on the BougeRV website, so I used that to purchase this, and I think it should be, from what I've seen online, a really good solution for charging the power station as we're driving along directly from the alternator. So what I'm going to do now is just tidy up all of this packaging, and then I'm going to start the install, and I'll show you exactly how I do that. Right, let's crack on with the install. So the first stage of the install is very straightforward. It's simply connecting the long input wire, which goes right through to the battery, and I'll do that next, into the unit. So you've got the positive here and the negative there, and it's simply just using the provided Allen key to do up the two grub screws that are in there. It's very straightforward and takes about 2 minutes. Next is finding a location for it, and I think for me I'm actually going to install it up here out the way underneath the bed, so this should fit quite neatly underneath there with the output nearest to the Jackery. So I'm just going to grab some screwdrivers for the screws and come back once I've mounted it. Right, so that is now the DC to DC alternator charger mounted underneath the bed. I've got the wires running to the front battery compartment, and I've also installed the output cable, which has got the two C4 connectors. So that was relatively straightforward. I just now need to connect the positive and negative to the battery compartment. So I'll move forward to there and come back to you with how that works. So I've got the input cable now where I need it to be, just routed through underneath the bed. I've taken off the battery compartment cover. It's under the driver's seat. It's just easiest to lift it all the way up and then push it as far forward as you can. So it's very straightforward. You've just got positive and negative. They just go on the two terminals. So it is a 10mm socket that goes on there. I think that's what just fell down. It's very straightforward. So I'm going to do that off camera and then show you exactly how it's all hooked up. So that's the install complete. Let me show you how it's working. So down here is the unit. The two green lights show that it's receiving the voltage from the battery, and then that is now going through to the Jackery. So on the app you can see that we've got 14.1 from the alternator, 30 volts coming out, and then that is then charging the Jackery at a rate of around 300 watts. So twice as powerful as what you would get from the cigarette lighter. You can configure the voltage that you want going input. So I've got that at 30 volts for now, but you could put that up to 50, and then you'd be getting something like closer to 400 watts going into the Jackery. But it was fairly straightforward. The cabling just goes through to the back of the driver's seat and then into the battery compartment. It took about half an hour in total once I cleared everything out from underneath the bed, and for £150 it's very good. So that was the install of the BougeRV DC600, and I'll see you on the next video.